Welcome to Golf Smarter Mulligans number 20. I'm Fred Green. Our guest today in an episode we call Getting the Most from Your Practice Sessions is Scott Strool. Scott was a listener at the time who kept detailed logs on his range sessions, and he wrote to me and wanted to share his method. We've heard a variety of instructors say practice with a purpose, and others implore that you practice like you play. Now, do either of those work for you? Well, Scott inspired me, and I hope he has an impact on you as well. Golf Smarter Mulligans is supported by twoguyswithgolfballs.com, offering premium used golf balls at a fraction of the cost of new ones. You know, you don't have to buy new balls because you can play with premium quality used balls that have probably been hit once, maybe twice. Now, before you make your order, every ball that comes into twoguyswithgolfballs.com, and they source from all over the country, they hand inspect them, they sanitize them, and then they grade for quality so that you can choose between Eagle, which is like a brand new ball, or Birdie or Par. And Par is like, if you want to do a practice round and if you don't care about losing a ball, then go ahead and take that one, and you're not going to pay very much money. But when you get an Eagle quality ball, you're going to be very confident that that sleeve of balls from twoguyswithgolfballs.com is going to be just as good as something that pays twice as much. Now, when I'm recording this in August of 2019, I checked out their website and saw that the balls that I use, which are Pro V1X from Titleist, which are usually, $50 for a dozen balls? They're $17.99. They're on sale right now for $17.99 for Eagle quality Pro V1X. And you get 10% off when you're checking out. Use the coupon code GolfSmarter and you get an additional 10% off. So you're like paying $16 for brand new Pro V1X? That's crazy. But make sure you go to twoguyswithgolfballs.com. Spell the whole thing out. TWO, two guys with golfballs.com, because there's a similar site out there and they're charging $27.99 for the exact same balls. So check it out. Make sure you take advantage of that 10% off every order, every time, with the coupon code GolfSmarter. And that discount offer expires on April 1, 2020. Twoguyswithgolfballs.com, and make sure you spell it out. Two is TWO. Mulligans is also brought to you by Autoslash.com. Autoslash.com is the rental car booking service that'll save you time, hassle, and money. Autoslash applies every available coupon code to your next car rental, including coupons you're eligible for based on your various memberships. And their service is absolutely free. So when you're renting a car, you let Autoslash know what you found on the web and what you've reserved. They will track your reservation until the day you pick up the car and email you when they find a better rate. And they find them frequently because the average user saves 30% off of any other booking site. And Autoslash, it's completely free. That just blows my mind because so many other services like this are going to charge you, but they don't. So bookmark it now on your browser and use it for your next car rental so that you can get the best rate possible for the completely free Autoslash.com. AUTOSLASH. Autoslash.com. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Fred. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I'm so glad to have you on the show because the way you found me, the way we got to set up this interview was you wrote to me and said, I'm a regular listener, and I want to share my practice sessions. And I was just intrigued by that. The fact is, I received an email just the other day from somebody saying, look, I understand the whole concept of practice with a purpose. I don't understand, I don't get the point of practice like you play. And you really practice with a purpose, don't you?
I do. I try to make sure that my time on the range is as functional and productive as playing. I also like to make sure that I have fun doing it. So sometimes people think it's practice when you were a kid and someone said, go practice playing the piano. That wasn't much fun. But golf is fun for me no matter what. So
okay,
I like to make the practice.
You know, I was thinking about that the other day. I was having a terrible time on the course. It was just awful. And I just said to my friends, I said, you know, golf is supposed to be fun. I'm not having fun right now. This is not fun for me. Right. And I got out of it and had a great time. I announced a couple later, I'm having fun now.
Right. The bad time subsides when you have one good shot.
Are you a lifelong golfer? Have you been playing your whole life?
Actually, no. I've been playing golf for about 15 years. And before that, I didn't really know much about it. My family was not very athletic. We went on vacation, and it happened to be at a place that had a golf course. And there was a demo day, and we had nothing to do in the afternoon. And I went over to the demo day and hit some balls and had a good shot. And I came home, and I was a golfer.
It really takes one shot, doesn't it?
It just took one shot.
I got the assumption there that you didn't play sports as a kid. You weren't?
A little bit. I mean, I didn't play golf, but I did some basketball and some soccer, but nothing past high school.
But you understand the discipline that is required in training for a sport.
Certainly.
And are you generally a disciplined person like that?
I am now, and I am with golf and exercise, and that's the only part of my life that's really disciplined and organized.
And we'll talk
maybe
about
my professional life as well, but
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. We'll talk about the exercise in a minute. But you wanted to share with us when you go out to the practice range, and that's what this show is going to be about, is getting the most out of your practice session.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. So when I know I'm going to the range, and I tend to go there 2 or 3 times a week during the season, when I'm playing, I don't like so much just hitting golf shots, like, getting a bucket and hitting a dozen with the same club or so. I really go to the course with either something that happened the last time I played that I want to get better at, or I really just want a general tune-up because there's an important game coming. Maybe there's a match at the club, or I'm playing against someone who I haven't beat in a while and I want to get better at one particular point. So when I go, I have a purpose. And I usually write it down, and I'll take some notes on some things that I want to work on. But generally what I'll do is the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I will just do a stretch and warm up, and then I'll start practicing. So I always stretch before I hit balls, whether I'm going to be there for 20 minutes or 2 hours. And stretching, I'll stretch in my neck and my arms, my legs. I usually start from the top and work down.
Do you stretch on a daily basis too, or just when you go out to the golf course?
No, I stretch almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. Well, and I'll get up, I'll have coffee, and I'll watch the morning news. If I'm in the home office, if I'm traveling, then I usually bring things with me so I can get to the fitness center and do that as well.
And did you listen to the Yoga for Golfers episode that we had with Catherine Roberts?
I certainly did. It's a great episode, and I refer to it every once in a while.
Oh, good. I hope that you got some out of it and that you can continue to use that.
I do. Thanks.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So after I do some stretching, then I basically, like everybody tells you, to start with the shorter clubs, a lob wedge and a sand wedge, and I don't swing full swing at the beginning. I just try to make some contact and not really care where the ball goes. I'm not aiming at anything. I just want to hit the club and hit the ball so that the ball propels forward for the most part. And I'll do that all the way through my 8-iron. And then I'll start getting into like a 3/4 and a full swing. And I'll do that all the way up until, let's say, a 4-iron or maybe even one of my hybrid clubs. Then I feel like I'm ready. And that warm-up takes about 20 minutes. And then after that, if I'm practicing, what I'll do is I'll often play a hole at the range. That's something that I like to do, where I don't like hitting the same exact club again and again, especially the driver. Because someone told me once the only time that you ever hit a driver 2 times in a row was when the first one you hit out of bounds. So you generally don't want to practice hitting 2 drivers in a row.
That's an excellent point.
Yep. So what I try to do is, if I know what course I'm playing, I'll pick a hole, a par 4, and I'll either on our range we have flags that you can aim in between, and I call that my fairway. So if I miss to the left, then I know I went left of the fairway, and etc. So I line up and hit a tee shot with my driver. And if I hit a really good shot and I know it was like a 400-yard hole, and then maybe what I'll do is in my next shot I'll hit a 7-iron. And if I didn't hit the driver so well, then the next shot I'll hit is a 5-iron. If I hit that well, then I consider that I was on in 2, and I don't. Then I'll go back to the driver and play it hole number 2. If one of the irons is a poor shot, if it goes left or right or not as the distance I was looking for, then I'll hit a sand wedge or a lob wedge or maybe even a pitching wedge. I'll do that for about an hour.
Wow. And this is practice like you play.
Practice like you play. And I often, in my mind, I try to visualize the course. I mean, sometimes that's hard to do when you're standing on a range and people are lined up back and forth behind you and in front of you. But if you just close your eyes for a second and think about the hole that you're playing, you can put that in your mind and then put yourself in that situation. Because everybody's like a scratch handicap golfer or a one handicap golfer when they're at the range.
Oh, yeah,
you never have to look for it. There's no pressure because you're not hitting that ball again. You're going to hit it, and you're going to get another one. It's right there. So I used to firmly believe that, just hitting balls, people would say, I'm so good at the range, but then when I go to the course, how come I can't do it? Well, it's because it means something on the course. And what you have to do is take that meaning and the purpose of hitting that ball and bring it to the range when you get a chance to learn from your mistake and actually fix it. Because on the course, you don't want to fix your problems. You want to just play the game.
So where you go to practice, do you work off of grass or off of mats?
So yeah, the range that we have that I'm a member of has mats, but they're the kind of mats that are built into the grass. They're not movable, and they're pretty forgiving as far as very much like grass. In the season, when it gets a little bit warmer here and the grass grows more quickly, then they'll move over to grass, and then I'll almost always hit over grass.
Great. And do you also
have a short game area?
Yeah, that's my next question is, do you have an area where you go work out of the sand for a while, or do you go and do your chipping for a while?
So they're also at our range, which I really love, is that they have 3 practice holes, and they're anywhere from 20 yards to 80 yards, and they have 2 flags in them, and they are real grass, green.
Oh, I've never heard of that. That's great. So
you can set up and basically hit chips, pitches, and anything from a half a sand wedge to a 3/4 pitching wedge. You can put the ball in the fairway, which is they cut the grass down, or you can move off to the side and you actually hit out of the rough.
How has this impacted your game? What's happened over your game since you started working this way?
Well, I've been keeping track of up and downs because that's a critical statistic when you miss the green, and it's gone up. The numbers of up and downs have gone up. I wouldn't say significantly, because even though you're practicing it, when you're playing again, you have to take that short game practice like you're playing, and that I haven't been able to satisfy to my liking. Practicing short game shots like you play, because you can't hit a driver and then have to walk all the way over to the short game area and hit that shot. So what I try to do is put myself into situations. I'll put the ball so I have to head it up quickly and get it over a bunker, or I'll put it in a deep rough. Practice the hard shots rather than don't always give yourself a good lie when you're practicing. That's something that's I would tell your listeners. Practice buried shots. Put the ball underneath the lip in a bunker, and practice the ones that are difficult. And that way, when you do have an easier shot, it's it'll be even easier because you'll know that you've accomplished the harder shots.
Well, sure. And when you're practicing a hard shot, and if you do it multiple times, when you get to see it out on the course, it's not going to be so intimidating.
That's right.
It just makes more sense that, that's why astronauts do it over and over and over again. So when they get to that situation, they're not unfamiliar with it. If you don't mind me asking, tell me about your scoring. Where did you start when you started this process, and where are you today?
Okay. Well, I still have the scorecard from my very first round, and I shot, and I kept track of everything and penalties, and I shot a 143.
And man, and you came back?
My friends told me, congratulations, you broke 50. You broke 150. That was the only good thing about that. And I did have one par, as a matter of fact. I chipped in from about 30 yards on the second to last hole.
Wow.
I remember that was the highlight.
I bet.
Of the round. Thankfully, I've never shot that high again. And now my scores are, I'm a low to mid 80s. You know, if I shoot 82, I think I did pretty well. If I shoot under 82, I had a really good round.
But you have broken 80.
I have broken 80 several times, and the best round I've had is a 77. And my goal for this year is a 72. And like I was talking about earlier in visualization, I am surrounding my life with the number 72. I took a picture of the 72nd Street subway station in New York City, and that is my background on my computer. When I go to the gym, I use locker number 72. And if I can, when I go to the golf course, if I see cart number 72, I'll get in that golf cart.
Wow. Wow. Well, our fingers are crossed for you. Tell me how much work you've done with a local pro.
So at the course that I go to, I've taken about a half a dozen lessons. I usually take one at the beginning of the season, and then I'll only see him again if there's a specific issue. I don't like saying, just give me a lesson. So I'll say, I'm having problems hitting 50-yard shots. You know, let's work on that, or let's work on the driver.
I'm curious about that. Why wouldn't you, if you really are goal-oriented here and want to get your scores down, because dropping your scores 5 or 6 strokes, you know, I mean, you have a great round that could be a fluke, but be consistently dropping your scores like that, you really need to be coached, don't you? I would think that you really have to put a lot of work into that, other than...
Well, one thing that I've learned from some of the instructors that I've seen is you really need to be your own coach. To get better, you need to recognize when you're doing something wrong, what that thing you're doing wrong is.
Yeah, but you can't always see it. You can't always tell.
And that's why I think when you go to somebody, you don't say, "Can you watch my swing and tell me what's wrong?" You go to them and say, "Am I swaying my hips? Because that's what I think I'm doing. Or is my head coming up? Or am I getting out of posture? Or am I, the club coming too far on the inside?" I think that's more important, fixing the little things rather than trying to fix an entire swing. So when I work on something, I don't say, I want to work on my swing today. I say, I want to work on the first half of my backswing. That way, if you're just working on that small and you get it right, then you can go to something else.
Wow. That's again, I commend you on your discipline on this kind of stuff. Because where was I reading the other day about a guy who was keeping score of his golf league for the last 20 years, and just one day he went back and looked over at the scores and realized that nobody's index had changed in 20 years.
Right.
It just stayed that way all through that time, and I think people just go out to play.
Yeah, I definitely take this pretty seriously. I would say, other than family and my career, golf is in the top 3 things. Especially, during the golf season in New Jersey, we only play about 9 months a year. Mm-hmm. And but I luckily in my position in my company, I get to travel, and I've played in Arizona, I've played in Florida, I've played in California.
Well, if I may speak for the person who is listening to the podcast right now, we all are a little bit addicted to this game.
Absolutely.
It gets into your blood, and it is not easy to get out.
That's for sure. And even so, like we were talking about earlier about my exercise, I started exercising for one real purpose, and it wasn't to lose weight, and it wasn't to get healthier. I wanted to get stronger so I can hit the golf ball further.
Right.
And that was the first reason why I started working out.
And for me, the first reason was to increase my flexibility.
Yeah, that too.
Yep.
Yeah, that too.
No
one of the pros told me that my club head speed is not going to increase. He said that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
And I took lessons and I got stronger, and my club head speed was 3 to 5 miles an hour faster in a year. And I've been working out since, pretty aggressively, I would say, since September of last year.
Wow.
So not even a year I've been working.
Let's talk about your exercise program.
Okay.
To give me a rundown on that.
Okay, so again, the first thing I do is stretch, and I lay on a mat, and I'll stretch my legs, and I'll stretch my arms. And then when I go to the gym, because I go for golf fitness, I specifically do things to work on my golf muscles, so my core, my shoulders, and my chest or my pectoral muscles. I'll do some free weight weights by just bending down and putting my hand on a bench and pulling and doing lifts. Then I'll sit on a Swiss ball with 15 to 20 pounds, and I'll do what's called fly fly bending. Basically, you're just lifting your arms back and forth from hanging on your side. I try to do a lot of things on a stability ball because that way, one of those larger Swiss balls, those help because then you have to engage other muscles while you're exercising. So the sitting on that Swiss ball is going to try to throw you off while you're lifting or while you're making the exercise. You have to engage either your abdomen or your legs or your back muscles to keep you on there. Otherwise, you're going to fall off. I also, for cardio and just to get a little bit stronger, I also try to run 3 miles in 30 minutes. And I do that every time I go to the gym, which is 3 or 4 times a week.
On the machine. You don't run outside?
I don't like running outside, so I'll do that on a treadmill. So I'll do that on a treadmill.
And hopefully listening to the Golf Smarter podcast at that point?
Absolutely. My goal usually is to finish the run before Kenny comes on. But that doesn't always happen.
And why is that?
Oh, no, just as something to beat my time.
Oh, well,
so I'm not walking too much because a lot of times if you get tired, you'll just set it to 3 miles an hour and walk. I try to go at least 5.5 miles an hour for 30 minutes. And if I do that, then I can listen to a full Golf Smarter podcast while I'm on the treadmill.
Wow. Well, this has been really interesting, Scott. I really appreciate you sharing this information with it, and I even got a great tip. I love the idea of don't hit a driver twice in a row on the driving range. I think that's a great idea.
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense. Well, although I seem to hit a driver 2 times in a row at the tee box on a regular basis, too.
Right.
Not that I want to, but it happens. All right, Scott Strool, thank you very much for being on the Golf Smarter podcast.
Thanks, Fred.